I am saying less. And
Yep. But you got to make them feel it. So you got to find the right words to make them see what you're seeing and feel what the characters would be feeling without directly telling them. Challenge.
taking that back into a book form, does
Hmm.
that help you punch up? Are you seeing that it helping you like punch up maybe some of your dialogue or, you know,
I
what
think
does
it
that
really
look like
did.
on that side?
So after I had written the novella and then I was going back and writing the script because, bouncing back and forth, I really do think it helped me because then I could already see like where the problems were going to be. I could already see when the dialogue was too long. I already had something visual. Like, okay, I got to cut that down. This will never go here. Okay, this is an entirely internal scene. So how do I show that on the screen? And then having to find a creative outlet to be able to do it. And I think I did a pretty damn good job, but we'll see if I can get the movie made now.
Yeah, that's another thing. Another hurdle.
Yep. I turned it over to my agent to see if he wants to shop it around. So I'll wait and see what he says. Since he's in Hollywood and he's already got a production company, I thought that would be an easy little jump to make. But production schedules are a little tight right now with everybody trying to bounce back from the strikes. And
Ooh,
Hollywood's all about timing. You know this. It's like it's you
I
could
don't
have the
know that.
Okay, so if you could have the greatest thing on earth and it could sit and languish forever, or it could be turned down by everybody just because the timing isn't right. And then that is kind of the bane of trying to go to Hollywood is you just never know when the timing is right.
Hmm. Guess that's
But
good reason I've stayed away from Hollywood, maybe.
well, yeah. I don't necessarily like Hollywood itself, but I've loved movies since I was a kid. So the idea of having a
Hmm.
story that I wrote on the big screen is kind of that full circle of like
Right.
all my kid goals coming to fruition. So
Hmm.
I, you know what? Next time you want to turn one of your stuff into a script, let me know. I will help you. And if you want to partner up on a female military thing, I got you there too.
It's very interesting, and I think that the question for me is always how not to get bored.
Mm.
Like the military thriller. Once you've written enough of them, you kind of I've tried to branch out in some ways, and when you branch out, some people are like, "Why are you doing this? We want you to write this and this alone forever," and you're like, "I don't want to write that anymore. I want to try something else." And so it's always, trying not to be bored, but trying to tell better stories. But sometimes you have to realize maybe the audience doesn't want you to tell, air quote, better or different stories. They want you to keep telling the stories that they like you to tell them.
Yeah. I think that's part of, why I like being indie because then it gives me that flexibility. But I also understand that, as a fan myself, I want to see certain types of like I want to see Gray Man stories from Mark Greaney. So I get it. I'm a fan as well as an author. So I understand both sides of the coin, but sometimes you just got to do things that you want to do. Like burnout. You said burnout was like the first time you had done something for you in a while. That had to have felt fantastic.
It felt good. I mean, it was one of those things where my issue with writing has always been uh like the outcome, right? Um Early on, I guess I lost, because like when I wrote my first two books, the publisher went under and they were just like, you can't write those anymore. I'm like, oh, okay, let's write something else. And so it's always been like you were in a forced divorce. You're like, I really loved her. Why did I have to get a divorce? And you're trying to find something else to do. And so you just kind of write and you're writing whatever. And but somewhere along the line, I think I began to combine like my success and happiness internally with the success of the book. And that whole market, the way books are sold and everything has changed so much that with burnout, I think I'd written like, I don't know, back to back to back books and I was tired. I was literally, the title became very prophetic and the burnout, I was like burned out. And I was like, what the hell am I doing this shit anymore? Like, I'm not really making that much money and I don't even freaking like it. And so being able to step back, which is kind of what I'm doing right now, just taking a year or so, just step back and be like, do I want to write anymore? do I like this? And then from that, the question comes like, well, now what do I want to write? And
Yeah.
so, so I think it took burnout to get to that point. But yeah, I think that like being an independent author, I've never thought about before, but the more I think about it, is like you can do whatever the hell you want and it doesn't matter.
Mhm. Well, I'm also lucky because I am a retiree. This isn't a second career for me. This is something I do because I love to do it. And I know not everybody has that luxury. And so I do not take that lightly. I take it as like this is a very good thing for me and I couldn't be in a better spot. So when I do things like go to film school, it's because I really want to learn the medium and I really want to be able to tell stories in a different way. But I completely understand where you're coming from too. Like you can't see my shirt, but it says "keep calm and demand trial by combat." So
Hmm.
that's kind of my going mantra right now is I have so many things going on. Just keep calm and I'll demand trial by combat if anybody challenges me on what I want to do. Um, but I'm glad you at least did this book, and I understand where you're coming from with the being pigeonholed into something and not sure if you want to do it anymore. So,
Well, I got lucky. I just used my writing to get another job. And once like I never thought that I would be happier not as a full-time writer, but everybody's like, why would you do that? You just don't want to be a full-time writer. And I was like, it's kind of like being in the military. You think like jumping out of planes is fun. And then you do the military and like the military sucks all the fun out of it. And it's like, okay, yeah, I like jumping out of airplanes at a civilian thing where I get to show up right then and jump versus the military where it's like I got to do the whole day the jump at night with a bunch of weight on me and hit the ground really hard and then spend the next 2 weeks out in the field.
yep.
Um, and so luckily I was able to do that. But I just think, the more authors I talk to in life and that have been writing, you're like, the question always comes like, do you like this? Do you like what you're doing? And they're like, well, yeah, yeah, but, and you just kind of get the thing where it's like, man, how do you get into something that you've always wanted to do and you love it? And then after a while, you're like, I hate this shit.
Well, it's because when you get into it, it's a great creative outlet for you. It's a place for you to do whatever your mind and your heart wants you to do. But as soon as you get told to do,
Monetize it. Yeah.
then it becomes just another job and you're writing for a job and not writing for creativity. And so that would burn you out. That would totally
Yeah.
deplete you. And everyone needs to take a step back. And if what you're doing now kind of refills that creative, inventory, then that's exactly what you need to do. Well,
So
I say, Josh, once again, thank you so much for doing this for me. I sincerely appreciate that.
my
And,
pleasure.
hopefully we won't go so long without chatting again. I guess, I'll have to come up with another great idea to run by you.
Yeah. I mean, this book really blew me away. And my wife, I'd read it before, but I went ahead and read it again last night. And, she's over there talking to me. And I'm like, I got to finish this. But I finished it. And she's like, you just read 78 pages in like an hour. And I was like, well, it was a good book. She's like, that would have taken me like 2 days. And, so I have a hard time reading things twice. But with this, I didn't. I picked up a lot of things that I'd missed in the first. And I just want to say, great job.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. I appreciate it.
You
And
make me look like I know what I'm doing when you take a conversation and turn it into something that great.
well, you inadvertently have, just greatness coming out you at all times. So just own it. Just own
Somebody
it.
needs to use it.
Thanks again, man. I
All
appreciate it.
righty.